The suitcase arrived on my 30th birthday, delivered by a courier who seemed too cheerful for 7 a.m. Brown leather, scratched at the corners, with brass fixtures that hadn't been polished since the Reagan administration. I recognised it immediately, Dad's old briefcase from when Stephen and I were kids. My name is Gianna, and my brother has always had a talent for twisting the knife. Sign here, the courier said, still smiling. I scrawled my signature, brought the case inside, and set it on my kitchen counter next to my untouched coffee. My hands trembled as I worked the latches. The first item I pulled out was a wedding invitation, cream-coloured with gold lettering. My face had been scratched out of the family photo on the front. Classy, Stephen. Real classy. My phone buzzed. A text from my dear brother. Uninvited, as always. Go to hell, I muttered, tossing my phone aside. But I kept digging through the suitcase. There was my old ballet slipper from when I was 12. The year Mom made me quit because Stephen's football games were more important. A photo of us at the lake house before everything went wrong. Dad's reading glasses, still bent from when they found him. You shouldn't have sent this, I said aloud, as if Stephen could hear me. My apartment felt suddenly too quiet, too empty. The phone rang. Lena. Happy birthday, cousin, she said softly. Did you receive anything today? Stephen's latest masterpiece? Yeah, just opened it. I tried to talk him out of it. He wouldn't listen. You know how he gets. I laughed, but it came out hollow. Oh, I know exactly how he gets. Did he tell you about the wedding invitation? With my face scratched out? Silence on the line. Then, Gianna, maybe it's time to let it go. It's been 5 years since they blamed me for Dad's death. Since Mom wrote me out of the will. Since my own brother told everyone I drove our father to... I stopped, breathing hard. No, Lena, I'm not letting anything go. You're still family, she whispered. Family doesn't do what they did to me. After hanging up, I returned to the suitcase. The lining was loose in one corner. Pulling it back revealed a hidden pocket. Dad always had secret compartments in his things. Inside was a yellowed envelope. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a photograph I'd never seen before. Stephen and Dad, in Dad's office, clearly arguing. The date stamp showed it was taken the day before Dad died. But what caught my eye was the document visible on the desk between them. A loan agreement with signatures I recognised. Dad's and Stephen's. My brother's words from 5 years ago echoed in my head. Dad killed himself because you were always disappointing him, Gianna. You broke him. But this photo told a different story. The loan, the signatures, the timing. My throat went dry as pieces started clicking into place. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Stephen. Consider the suitcase my birthday gift. A reminder of everything you lost. I stared at the photo, then at the text. My fingers moved across the screen. Thanks for the memories, brother. See you at the wedding. His response was immediate. You're not invited. Oh, but I will be there, I whispered to my empty apartment. And I'm bringing my own gifts. I placed the photo carefully in my desk drawer and looked at the wedding invitation again. Stephen and his perfect fiancée Desiree smiled up at me, my scratched-out face a glaring reminder of everything they'd taken from me. 5 years of being the family scapegoat. 5 years of carrying blame that was never mine. 5 years of watching Stephen build his life on a foundation of lies. Well, brother dear, you shouldn't have sent me Dad's suitcase. Some gifts come with hidden costs, and I was finally ready to collect. The wedding rehearsal was in full swing when I walked into the church. I'd chosen a deep burgundy dress, not quite white to steal the bride's thunder, but striking enough to turn heads. And turn they did. Oh my God, someone whispered. The clicking of my heels against marble echoed through the sudden silence. Stephen spotted me first. His face went from confusion to rage to a plastic smile so fast it was almost impressive. Gianna, he said loudly, this is a private event. Is it? I must have missed that detail in my scratched-out invitation. Mom appeared next to him, her pearls gleaming like armour. You need to leave. Now. Make me. Desiree emerged from the side chapel, resplendent in a white sundress. She froze when she saw me, her perfectly manicured hand flying to her throat. I smiled, remembering how those same fingers used to trace patterns on my skin during stolen moments in college. Someone call security, Mom hissed. Actually, I said, pulling out my phone. I already called them, told them to expect a scene. They're waiting outside. Should I wave them in? Stephen grabbed my arm, steering me toward a private alcove. What do you think you're doing? Attending my brother's wedding rehearsal. Isn't that what family does? We haven't been family since you blamed me for Dad's death. Funny thing about that. I pulled out the photograph from the suitcase. Care to explain this? His face went white. Where did you get that? Your birthday gift was very enlightening. Hidden compartments are tricky things. That proves nothing. The loan documents might. You know, the ones with your forged signatures? Desiree appeared behind him. Stephen, the minister is waiting. Give us a minute, he snapped. No, I said sweetly. Let's include Desiree. After all, we're practically family, aren't we, Des? She paled. Gianna, don't. Don't what? Mention sophomore year? Those nights in your dorm room? Stephen looked between us, confusion creasing his brow. She's lying, Desiree said quickly. She's always been jealous of us. I laughed. That's rich coming from you. Should I show Stephen the text you sent me last month? There are no texts, she hissed. No? Check your phone. I just sent you a screenshot. Her phone chimed. She pulled it out, hands shaking. I watched her face crumble as she read. What's going on? Stephen demanded. Nothing, Desiree snapped, deleting the message. She's trying to ruin everything, like always. I slipped past them, heading for the chapel's sound system. Actually, I'm here to help. I brought music suggestions for the reception. Mind if I leave this with the DJ? Don't you dare, Desiree called after me. But I was already moving, sliding the flash drive into the equipment. Tomorrow's playlist just got more interesting. Jude, Stephen's best man, intercepted me near the door. You shouldn't be here, he said softly. Miss you too, Jude. His eyes softened. Gianna, whatever you're planning, you don't know what I'm planning. I know you, and I know that look. He touched my arm. Some bridges can't be unburned. Good thing I brought matches then. Mum's voice cut through the tension. If you don't leave immediately, I'm calling the police. I turned to face my family, Stephen seething, Desiree panicking, Mum cold as ever. No need. I got what I came for. I headed for the door, then paused. Oh, and Stephen, happy wedding day, brother. Tomorrow's going to be unforgettable. The heavy church door slammed behind me with satisfying force. Outside, the summer air felt electric against my skin. My phone buzzed. A text from Desiree. You promised never to tell anyone. I typed back. You promised a lot of things too. Funny how that works. Another buzz, Stephen this time. Whatever you're planning, don't. I'm warning you. I smiled, thinking of the flash drive and tomorrow's reception. Some promises are made to be broken, and some truths refuse to stay buried. Let them sweat tonight. Tomorrow they'd learn exactly what happens when you push someone too far. Lena found me at the coffee shop across from my apartment the next morning, sliding into the booth with 2 lattes and guilt written all over her face. Before you say anything, she started, I need to show you something. She pulled out a manila envelope, hands trembling. I found these in Mom's study last night. After you left the rehearsal, I couldn't sleep. Inside were bank statements, large transfers to offshore accounts, all dated around the time of Dad's death. But one name caught my eye, a recurring payment to Edwards Consulting. That's Desiree's mum's company, I said. Lena nodded. Your mum's been paying them off, monthly instalments for 5 years. Hush money. There's more. She pulled out her phone, showing me an email thread. Stephen knew about Dad's company being in trouble before anyone else. He was moving money around, creating fake accounts. I leaned back, pieces clicking into place. He was laundering money through Dad's business. And when your dad found out, he confronted Stephen. I pulled out the photograph from the suitcase, the day before he died. Lena's eyes widened. Oh God, Gianna! They blamed you all this time, but Stephen was the reason Dad killed himself. The words tasted bitter. The coffee shop door chimed. Jude walked in, spotting us immediately. I thought I'd find you here. Following me now? I asked. He sat down uninvited. Stephen's losing it. He knows you have something planned. Good. Gianna, he leaned forward. He used your removal from the will to secure everything for himself. The house, the company shares, all of it. And you knew, The betrayal stung fresh. I suspected, but I couldn't prove it. He reached for my hand. I pulled away. Don't touch me. You are my best friend, Jude. You watched them destroy me. I'm trying to help now. My phone buzzed, an anonymous email. The subject line, Desiree Graham prenup fraud. Excuse me, I said, standing. I need to make a call. Outside, I dialed the number attached to the email. A woman answered on the second ring. Is this about Desiree? She asked without preamble. Yes. I worked at her father's firm. The prenup she signed, the assets she listed, all fake. She's been living on credit and lies for years. I recorded everything, my hands steady despite the adrenaline. When I hung up, Jude was waiting. Whatever you're planning, he said, it won't bring your dad back. This isn't about bringing anything back, it's about truth. At what cost? Ask Stephen what Dad's life cost. Ask him about the money laundering, the fake accounts. I stepped closer. Ask him why he let me take the blame. Jude's face fell. Jesus, Gianna. The wedding's in 6 hours. You might want to prepare a different best man speech. Back in my apartment, I laid everything out. The bank statements, the prenup evidence, the photo. 5 years of lies unraveling in paper trails and pixels. My phone lit up with a text from Desiree. Meet me, please. We need to talk. I replied with an address, the coffee shop again. Public, safe, controlled. She arrived looking perfectly put together except for the fear in her eyes. I found this, she said, sliding an old letter across the table, my handwriting from our college days. Words of love, of secrets shared. If you expose Stephen, she whispered, this comes out too. We both lose. I picked up the letter, remembering the girl who wrote it, young, trusting, believing in love. You're wrong, Desiree. I've already lost everything. Now it's your turn. Please, she begged. My parents, my reputation. Should have thought about that before you helped Stephen destroy me. I stood, leaving the letter on the table. Enjoy your wedding day, Des. I hear it's going to be quite the show. Walking home, I checked my watch. 5 hours until the ceremony. 5 hours until every carefully constructed lie came crashing down. Let them scramble. Let them threaten. The truth was already loaded, aimed, and ready to fire. And I had front row seats to watch it all burn. The address on the prenup documents led me to a sleek downtown law office. The receptionist barely glanced up as I approached. I'm here to see Lloyd, I said. Tell him it's about his daughter's wedding. 5 minutes later, I sat across from Desiree's father, watching him fidget with his gold cufflinks. Miss Howard, he said carefully, this is unexpected. Like finding out your daughter faked her financial statements. I placed the prenup copy on his desk. Or that she's been lying about her assets. His face hardened. Where did you get this? The same place I got the information about the pregnancy cover-up from her sophomore year of college. Lloyd's hand froze mid-fidget. That's confidential information. Nothing's confidential anymore, Lloyd. Not the hush money, not the offshore accounts. I pulled out my phone, setting it to record. Want to tell me about your business dealings with my father? I think you should leave. I think you should talk. Because in 3 hours, everything comes out. Unless what? He leaned forward. Tell me what really happened the day my father died. Lloyd's eyes darted to the family photo on his desk. Desiree's perfect smile, her mother's pearls, everything to lose. Your brother, he started, then swallowed hard. Stephen came to me first, said he needed help moving money around. Clean money into dirty accounts, dirty back to clean. And my father found out. He threatened to expose everything. Stephen panicked, said he'd implicate me if your father talked. Lloyd's voice cracked. The next day, my father was dead, and Stephen blamed me. I'm sorry, we all just looked the other way. I stopped the recording. Thank you for your honesty, Lloyd. Finally. What are you going to do? Nothing. Yet. I stood up. But I'd skip the wedding if I were you. Outside, my phone buzzed. Desiree again. My father just called. What did you do? Before I could respond, another text came through from an unknown number. Back parking lot of the church. Now. I have what you need. The lot was empty except for a familiar car. Mum's silver Mercedes. She rolled down the window as I approached. Get in! Why should I? Because I have proof about everything. I slid into the passenger seat, keeping the door open. Mum looked older than I remembered, tired around the eyes. Stephen was always the golden child, she said, staring straight ahead. I protected him, covered for him, even when... She pulled out an envelope. Even when I found these. Inside were letters, threatening notes from loan sharks dated before Dad's death, all addressed to Stephen. He was in deep, Mum continued. Your father found out, tried to help, but Stephen, he was too far gone. When your father confronted him, Stephen chose himself, like always. And I chose him too. She finally looked at me. I was wrong. 5 years too late, Mom. I know. That's why I'm giving you these. She handed me another envelope. Bank records. Proof of everything. Use them however you want. I studied her face. Why now? Because I'm tired of pretending we're perfect. She straightened her blazer. Do what you need to do, Gianna. I won't stop you anymore. As I stepped out of the car, Desiree appeared, mascara smeared. You visited my father, she accused. You're destroying everything. No, Des. You did that yourself. We had something real once, she whispered. Didn't that mean anything? It meant everything. Until you chose status over truth. If you do this, she grabbed my arm, I'll tell everyone about us, about what we were. I gently removed her hand. Go ahead. I'm not ashamed of who I am. Are you? She stepped back, tears falling. Please, I love him. No, you love what he represents. But that image is about to shatter. My phone chimed. A reminder. 1 hour until the ceremony. Better go finish your makeup, Des, I said softly. Wouldn't want to ruin those wedding photos. She fled toward the church, heels clicking on asphalt. I watched her go, feeling nothing but calm. The truth was loaded. The guests were arriving. And the real ceremony was about to begin. The wedding reception buzzed with champagne-fueled chatter. I sat at my assigned table, the furthest from the head table naturally, watching Stephen and Desiree perform their perfect couple routine. Her white dress sparkled under the chandeliers. His smile never reached his eyes. And now, the DJ announced, the best man would like to invite a special guest to share a few words. Stephen stood, straightening his bow tie. My sister Gianna has something to say. Keep it light, sis. His laugh carried a warning. I approached the microphone, aware of every eye in the room. Mom gripped her champagne glass. Desiree's knuckles went white around her bouquet. When I was little, I began, Dad used to tell us a story about 2 siblings and a wolf in white silk. The wolf would visit them wearing beautiful clothes, bringing gifts and promises. I paused, meeting Stephen's gaze. But underneath all that silk was nothing but teeth and lies. Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. The younger siblings saw through the wolf's disguise. But the older one, they were so enchanted by the wolf's promises that they'd do anything to keep them, even betray their own blood. Stephen's smile faltered. It's funny how stories come true, isn't it? How wolves still wear silk, and some siblings still choose lies over love. I raised my glass. To the happy couple, may your foundation be stronger than the secrets it's built on. The projector behind me suddenly flickered to life, right on cue. The flash drive I planted working its magic. Documents filled the screen, bank statements, transfer records, the loan agreements with Stephen's forged signatures. What is this? Catherine, Desiree's mother, stood up sharply. Then came Lloyd's recorded confession, his voice filling the ballroom. Stephen came to me first, said he needed help moving money around, clean money into dirty accounts. Turn it off! Stephen lunged for the sound system, but it was too late. The screen changed again. Desiree's fake prenup documents, her hidden credit card statements, the pregnancy cover-up papers. You bitch! Desiree screamed, launching herself toward me. Her veil caught on a chair, ripping away. Is this true? Catherine demanded, rounding on Lloyd. Did you help cover this up? The ballroom erupted into chaos. Guests stood, phones recording everything. Mum quietly slipped out a side door. I can explain, Stephen grabbed the microphone. This is all lies. Gianna's trying to ruin... Like you ruined Dad, I cut in. Tell them, Stephen. Tell them what really happened that day. Don't, he warned. Tell them how he found out about the money laundering. How he confronted you. How the next day he was dead, and you let me take the blame. Stephen lunged at me, but Jude caught him. It's over, Jude said firmly. The truth's out. You helped me hide it, Stephen spat at him, and I've regretted it every day since. Desiree's mascara ran in black rivers down her cheeks. How could you do this to me? How could you do this to yourself? I countered. Living on lies, marrying for money, hiding who you really are. Shut up! She slapped me hard across the face. The room went silent. I touched my stinging cheek, smiling. There she is. The real Desiree. Not so perfect now, are we? I've called the police, Catherine announced, phone in hand. And our lawyers. Stephen grabbed Desiree's arm. We need to leave. Now. Don't bother, I said. The IRS already has copies of everything. They're probably at your house right now. The sound of sirens grew in the distance. You've ruined everything, Stephen hissed. No, brother. You did that yourself. 5 years ago when you chose money over family. Guests began flooding out of the ballroom. Desiree collapsed into a chair, her perfect white dress now wine-stained and crumpled. Jude touched my shoulder. You okay? Never better. Through the chaos, I caught Mom's eye as she lingered by the door. She gave me a small nod before disappearing into the night. The sirens grew louder. Stephen's face had gone ashen. Desiree's parents were already calling their lawyers, and me. I picked up a champagne glass, raised it to my brother one last time, and smiled. Happy wedding day, Stephen. The truth looks beautiful in white, doesn't it? The police lights painted the church parking lot in alternating red and blue. Stephen sat in the back of a patrol car, while Desiree screamed at her parents near their Bentley. The perfect wedding had dissolved into perfect chaos. Miss? An FBI agent approached me. We'll need your statement. Before I could respond, Mum appeared from the shadows. Not here, she said coolly. Follow me. I trailed her to the church garden, where stone angels watched our family drama unfold. For the first time, I noticed how small she looked, without her usual armour of designer clothes and practiced smiles. I always knew you were dangerous, she said, sitting on a bench. Not like Stephen, all flash and swagger. You were quiet, patient, like your father. Is that why you hated me? Hated you? She laughed bitterly. I was terrified of you. You saw through everything. Our perfect family facade, Stephen's manipulation, my weakness. You let him destroy Dad. I let him destroy us all. She pulled out a cigarette, a habit she'd supposedly quit 20 years ago. Your father wasn't perfect, Gianna. He enabled Stephen's worst impulses, covered for his mistakes, until he couldn't anymore. And then he died. And then I chose the living son over the dead husband and the daughter who reminded me too much of my own failures. Footsteps crunched on gravel. Catherine approached, her face rigid with fury. You knew, she accused Mom, about Desiree's lies, about everything. We all knew something, Catherine. We just chose not to look too closely. My daughter's reputation is ruined. Your daughter ruined herself, I cut in, just like my brother. Catherine turned on me. You had no right. I had every right. 5 years of rights. The police want to speak with both of you, Jude appeared, looking exhausted. They're asking about offshore accounts. Mom stood, straightening her spine. Tell them I'll cooperate fully. It's time to stop running. As she walked away, Desiree stumbled into the garden. Her wedding dress was a mess of torn silk and red wine stains. Happy now? She slurred. You've destroyed everything. You destroyed us first, Des. Years ago, when you chose status over honesty, we were kids. We were in love, and you were ashamed. Catherine's eyes widened. What is she talking about? Nothing, Desiree snapped. She's lying. Like you lied about the pregnancy? Catherine's voice cracked. About the money? Mum, please. No more lies, Catherine said firmly. We're going home to face whatever comes next. They left, leaving me with Jude in the darkening garden. The FBI found the hard drive you sent them, he said. Stephen's going away for a long time. Good. Your mum too, probably. She signed off on a lot of those transfers. I watched another police car arrive. She made her choice. And Desiree will finally have to live her truth, whatever that looks like. He stepped closer. What about you? What happens now? Now! I pulled out the backup drive from my clutch. Now I send this to every financial newspaper in the country. The full story: money laundering, fraud, cover-ups, the perfect Howard family facade cracking wide open. Jesus, Gianna. They took everything from me, Jude. My father, my family, my truth. Tonight, I took it all back. At what cost? Ask me if I care. The garden fell silent except for distant sirens and the murmur of shocked wedding guests leaving. Stephen's voice carried across the parking lot as police read him his rights. You know what's funny? I said, watching the scene. He sent me that suitcase to hurt me. One final twist of the knife. Instead, he handed me everything I needed to bring him down. Karma's a bitch, Jude murmured. No, I smiled. I'm the bitch. Karma just helped. An FBI agent waved me over. It was time to make my official statement to put the final nails in the coffin of the Howard family legacy. You coming? I asked Jude. He shook his head. Some stories I don't need to be part of. I walked away from the garden, head high, the backup drive secure in my hand. Behind me, the wedding venue stood dark and empty, like a mausoleum for all our family's buried secrets. But secrets don't stay buried forever. Sometimes they rise, wearing white silk and carrying truth like a weapon. Dad's headstone looked different in the morning light. I knelt down, brushing away fallen leaves, tracing his name with my fingertips. You should see the headlines, I said softly. Howard family empire crumbles. Fraud. Money laundering exposed at society wedding. They're calling it the scandal of the year. Thought I'd find you here. I turned to see Lena approaching with 2 coffee cups. She handed me one and sat beside me on the damp grass. Stephen's being held without bail, she said. The evidence was overwhelming. And Mum, under house arrest. The board voted her out this morning. Lena sipped her coffee. Desiree's family fled to their house in Switzerland. The press is camped outside their mansion. Good. The financial newspapers are calling you a whistleblower, a hero. I laughed. I'm not a hero, Lena. I'm just tired of lies. My phone buzzed. Another reporter wanting a statement. I'd received dozens since the story broke yesterday. You didn't just expose Stephen, Lena said carefully. You exposed everyone. The whole system of cover-ups and privilege. Someone had to. A sleek black car pulled up to the cemetery gates. Jude stepped out carrying a folder. The FBI finished their initial review, he said, joining us. They found evidence of fraud going back 10 years. Stephen was stealing from clients long before your dad died. And nobody noticed? People noticed. They just didn't care. Money has a way of buying silence. I stood up, brushing grass from my knees. Not anymore. There's something else. Jude opened the folder. They found your father's real suicide note, the one Stephen hid. My hands shook as I took the paper. Dad's familiar handwriting filled the page. My dearest Gianna, I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough to stop him. You always saw the truth. In Stephen, in our family, in everything. Don't let them silence you. Don't let them make you small. Oh, my love. Dad. He knew, I whispered. He knew I'd find out eventually. Lena squeezed my hand. He trusted you to make it right. My phone buzzed again. This time it was an email from a women's leadership organisation. Dear Miss Howard, we would be honoured to have you speak at our annual summit. Topic: Breaking the Silence, one woman's fight against corporate fraud. They want me to tell my story, I said, showing them the email. Are you going to do it? Jude asked. I think... I looked at Dad's headstone, at the truth finely carved in stone. I think it's time people heard the real story, all of it. A text from Desiree lit up my screen. You were right. About everything. I'm done hiding. Looks like you're not the only one finding your voice, Lena observed. Maybe that's what this was all about, I said. Not just revenge, but revolution. Breaking the cycles of silence. Jude touched my shoulder. Your dad would be proud. Yeah, I smiled, touching the headstone one last time. I think he would. We walked back to the cars together, leaving the weight of 5 years' silence behind. The morning sun caught the dew on the grass, making everything sparkle like new. So what now? Lena asked. Now? I pulled out my laptop. I start writing. The whole story from the beginning. No more secrets, no more shame. Including the parts about Desiree. Especially those parts. It's time to own all our truths. My phone chimed with another text arty from Mum. I'm pleading guilty. You deserved better. Both as a daughter and as a human being. I'm sorry it took losing everything to see that. The mighty are falling, Jude remarked. No, I corrected him. They're just finally becoming human. I opened my laptop, fingers hovering over the keys. The cursor blinked, waiting for words that had been 5 years in the making. On my 30th birthday, my brother sent me a suitcase. The truth flowed like water, washing away years of carefully constructed lies. Sometimes revenge isn't about destruction, it's about reconstruction, building something new from the ashes of what was lost. And sometimes the greatest victory isn't in watching others fall, but in finally rising. The morning sun streamed through my apartment windows as I packed Dad's old suitcase, the one that started it all. Inside went my laptop, speaking notes, and a copy of the Wall Street Journal with my story splashed across the front page. A knock at the door. Coming? Jude stood in the hallway, holding coffee and a newspaper. You made the Times too. Let me guess. Whistleblower daughter exposes family's dark empire? Actually, it's Howard Truth Teller sparks financial industry reform. He smiled. You're changing things, Gianna. My phone buzzed. A text from Stephen's lawyer. Client wishes to make full confession. Requests meeting. Delete, I muttered, tossing the phone aside. Not interested in his confession. I already know the truth. That's enough. Another knock. This time it was Lena, practically bouncing with excitement. Have you seen the registration numbers for your speaking event? They had to move it to a bigger venue. People love a good scandal, I said. No, she corrected. People love authenticity. Speaking of which, she handed me an envelope. This came for you. Inside was a handwritten letter from Desiree. Gianna. I'm writing this from rehab. Finally getting help, finally being honest. You were right. The truth sets you free, even when it hurts. I'm sorry for choosing fear over love. Sorry for letting them make me small. Thank you for breaking the silence. Des. Well, Jude said softly, looks like your revenge had some unexpected benefits. It wasn't revenge in the end. It was resurrection. My doorbell chimed again. This time it was Mom, looking smaller without her designer armour. I'm under house arrest, she said, gesturing to her ankle monitor. But they let me come say goodbye before your trip. Mom? No, let me finish. She stepped inside, touching the suitcase. Your father kept everything in here. Every receipt, every document. He knew someday someone would need them. He knew I'd need them. He knew you'd be brave enough to use them. She pulled out an old photo. Me at 5, sitting on Dad's shoulders. You were always the strongest of us all. The room fell quiet, years of unspoken words hanging in the air. I have to go, I said finally. My car's waiting. I know. Mum straightened my collar, just like she used to. Go tell your truth. Tell all of it. As if on cue, my phone lit up with a news alert. Stephen Howard pleads guilty, faces 20 years. Justice comes in many forms, Lena observed. Sometimes it comes in a battered old suitcase, I added, picking up Dad's case. We walked down together, Mum, Lena, Jude. My chosen family now, bound by truth instead of lies. Outside, reporters waited with cameras. Ms. Howard, how does it feel to expose your own family? I paused at my car door. They stopped being family the day they chose lies over love. My real family? I looked at the people beside me. They're the ones who helped me find my voice. Any message for your brother? Just one. The truth always rises. Always. Jude helped me load the suitcase. Need company on the drive? No, I smiled. This part I need to do alone. Mum touched my arm one last time. Gianna, I'm proud of you. Finally, truly proud. The cameras flashed as I got in my car. In the rearview mirror, I watched them all wave, the truth-tellers, the survivors, the ones who chose light over darkness. My phone buzzed with a final text from an unknown number. Dad would be proud. Love, Uncle James. I smiled, starting the engine. The suitcase sat beside me, no longer a weapon of revenge, but a vessel of redemption. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying your enemies. It's becoming exactly who you were meant to be, louder and brighter than they ever wanted you to be. I pulled away from the curb, leaving the shadows behind. Ahead lay a stage, a microphone, and a world ready to hear the truth. And this time, nothing would silence me.